Hi everyone, I'm Prayank. I've been with Accel for the last 13 years and I've been investing in early stage startups since then. On our AMA request, you guys sent in a bunch of questions to us related to AI, and I'm very happy that I'm going to be taking some of those today. Before we dive into some of the questions, let me tell you a little bit about Accel and a little bit about Accel Atoms and a little bit about SeedToScale. So Accel has been investing in India now for over 15 years. We started off in the Valley many years ago, some 40 plus years ago. And we are investors in some of the biggest names in India when they were not even known to anybody, when the founders were just starting off. So companies like Flipkart, companies like Swiggy, Freshworks, and we've been very lucky to participate in their journey and work with such amazing founders. Coming to Accel Atoms. Accel Atoms is a program we started 4 years ago where we invest smaller amounts up to $1 million in companies which are just starting off. We have been part of an amazing Indian startup ecosystem, and the community has helped Accel grow so much. So we decided a few years back that we need to give back to the community, and we came up with the idea of SeedToScale. SeedToScale is a learning community, a community where startup founders, other VCs all come together to share ideas and help the next set of founders who are just starting up make their businesses much better than what they could have done just by themselves. All right, guys, let me start with the first question which all of you asked, which was, what are the white spaces in which somebody can build an AI startup? First of all, Accel has invested in 40 companies in the last 3 years in AI. And even then, we think the opportunity is amazingly large. But let me pick up 3 areas which I can advise you to build startups in. So the first area which I'm very excited about is just vertical AI. Look at it. You can use AI to solve so many problems and make so many people more efficient. It can be lawyers, it can be doctors, it can be dentists, teachers, and all of those people want to understand how to use AI. So can you build a startup for that, right? We have invested in some companies which are vertical AI companies. One of the examples is BPR Hub, another example is Bridgetown Research. In both the cases, the companies essentially help do a lot of research, collect documents, summarize those reports so that the outcomes can be achieved faster. So for example, BPR Hub allows a factory to get ISO certification instead of 6 months, they can allow you to do it in up to 2 months or 1 month, very fast. Similarly, Bridgetown Research completes something which somebody will take a month to do research on within a week, within 2 days. So that gives you an idea of that opportunity. Now, second idea where you can build a startup in is AI-enabled services. Come on, like India is the hub where all IT services happen. And I don't think a lot of people know, but do you know that in India you can back office for accounting is there, back office for architecture is there, back office for marketing. So many other companies have their back offices in India for services. Using AI, you can disrupt all of that. You can actually create a new startup which is much better at serving customers using this. Let me give you a very simple practical example. I think it's open out there. People are already building for it. So you take some of the largest softwares like Salesforce, Workday, marketing softwares. Typically what we have seen is people are spending 1 rupee on buying this software, but they are spending 10 rupees on actually using the software. So they have to hire people, they have to hire agencies. You could just build an agency or a services firm which is able to do all of that work at half the cost with 10x better output. And that is a very good idea. The third idea where you can go and build is just for India. Look around. My father, my neighbors, nobody's using AI today because I don't think there is a true AI use case anybody has discovered in India for consumers. But we have invested in one, and it's very interesting. Astrology, AI using astrology. So I want to wake up, I can go up and say, okay, what does my daily horoscope look like? Instead of opening Times of India and looking at what's written over there, I can get a personalized AI astrology advice. So ideas like that are abound. We have invested in Arivihan, which helps students with personalized AI tutoring for their CBSE boards, state boards, exams. It's very hard. You can't just go to GPT and just suddenly get India-specific education available easily from there. So those are some of the examples which you can build your AI startup in. So wrapping up, 3 things I talked about. So first one was vertical AI. Second one was AI-enabled services. And third one was consumer AI startups for India. I'm a VC and I invest in GPT wrappers all the time. You just have to deliver value to the customer. That is the core. If you look at some of the most successful AI companies outside of foundational models, companies like Cursor, Decagon, companies like Harvey, all of these essentially started off as solutions built on top of AI wrappers, like foundational models, and they've done exceedingly well. So I think it's just, people think, I don't know where it used to be true 3 years back, but I don't think it's true anymore. All of these companies have shown success by showing that you can build deep and solutions and large businesses on top of existing foundational models. And you take Cursor, for example. Like Cursor uses all sorts of foundational models. It uses Claude, it uses GPT, it uses even your local models, and you don't have to have, they don't have their model of their own, but they're wildly successful. And the reason for that is because they bring something to the user. They actually solve the pain point of the user. See, the user who is using the solution does not care whether you're using GPT or Llama or Gemma or 5.4. They don't care about any of that. The user wants this problem to be solved. So as a VC, the way I evaluate any AI startup is the company, is the product solving the user's need and pain point? And if they are solving the pain point, then I don't care if they're a GPT wrapper. You are delivering value. That's it. That's what is needed from a company for a VC to invest in. Dekhiye, I think all of us are using AI in India, in Indian apps, but it's not in our face, so we don't know it yet. जब आप स्विगी से रसगुल्ला ऑर्डर करते हो, Swiggy does a search to find recommending other Bengali sweets to you. It is actually using AI. When you're going to Flipkart and talking for customer support, it is most probably using a chatbot which is AI enabled for you. But I think the crux of the question which people are asking is why we don't have another Swiggy, why we don't have another Flipkart or a Book My Show, which is an true AI app built for Indians by Indians. I think that's a very, very good question. And I think my answer will change 12 months from now. But the current status quo is basically this, that all of us, hum sab Bharatiya log, we are all very value conscious. We are not going to spend $20 per month on a chat GPT, but we can spend 300, 400 rupees per month on a Jio Hotstar or on our phone because we see value in it, right? There is some value which we are accruing. So we are not going to spend $20, which is 1,700 rupees. But so can a founder, I think it's a challenge for Indian founders, can somebody create a value for Indian customers at 100 to 200 rupees using AI? That is the first question which founders have to answer. And I think there are one or two startups which are already trying to do that and have been very successful, like Cuckoo FM or Seco, which are doing this, which are creating content using Gen AI, but not necessarily they are AI companies, like full-fledged AI companies today. But I think in 12 months we'll be there. So that is first. So you have to create value for the Indian consumer at an economical price point. Second, most of the models which exist today are expensive to run. The cost of AI is dropping, but it has not gotten to the phase where that Indian founder can actually build out a bunch of these things cheaply. However, things are starting to change. We are starting to get India-first foundational models. Obviously, the government is playing a big part. They are subsidizing compute for a lot of these companies, which is going to enable a lot of startups to come out with products which are suited for Indian customers, for Indian voice, for multiple languages that we have. And the paradigm is changing in science itself, which is making it easier to make more such applications. So companies like Sarvam, companies like Smallest.ai, for example, are very good examples of helping create foundational models which Indian founders can use to create Indian consumer apps and startups. So in 12 months, I think we will have a lot of large AI companies from India for India, which we can build on. Okay, let's take a slightly tougher question, which is how to do GTM in the AI world. AI is making it easier for more and more startups to launch newer products at a much faster pace. And products can become much more deeper at a much faster rate. What that means is client expectations are very, very high. So You launch product X with Y features, another competitor launches product X with Y plus 10 more features. And that is how you compete against those. So 3 things come into play. I strongly believe that product-led growth motion is the way to go. A PLG first product allows your startup to showcase to the customer all the things they can do with their features. It allows the customer to get comfort that, hey, this is a great product which I can use. So you don't need to be in the picture of actually calling up the customer, use this feature. This is how your product should be intuitive enough that the customer should be able to just use it and go for it. And if they like it, buy it. And very large companies have been built on top of this. So if you take example again of Cursor, Windsurf, they are just PLG-led motions. And more such things are starting to happen. So that is first. Second, specifically for Indian founders, and if you are selling to enterprises in the US, you need to be able to sell perception about your company better. You need to have better LinkedIn, you need to have better content. Again, like more and more content is being generated using AI. So you have no excuse that you will not be able to become a thought leader, become more conversational with your customers and say, hey, this is your pain point and this is how I'm solving it. So that is a second big thing. And by the way, all of this content goes into ChatGPT. So the buyer is also not searching necessarily on Google anymore. They are searching within inside of ChatGPT or Perplexity and asking this question, give me an answer, which software should I use? So you have to be present there. And what feeds all of this? Again, content. So you have to create more content. Do you like it or not? But that's the way the rules are being written. And then finally, just imagine lots of products, lots of content. So how does a customer get to know you? How do you just stand out among all of this noise? I think that's the very, very tough question to answer. My thought process on that is you have to get some sort of trust with new users by looking at who's using you from the older users. So can you get good customers in the beginning? And there is no easy way to do that. The hard way is you as the founder have to pick up the phone, call up, and find as many customers as possible. Unless, of course, again, if you are a PLG product, you will get to know whether you are getting customers or not very quickly. This is one of my favorite questions, which I have debate on with all my founders, all my friends who live in India, sometimes even inside my family, as to why to sell to an Indian customer. And I think there are differing views, but I have a very strong personal view that Indian customers don't pay for software, especially inside organizations. You start selling to an Indian enterprise for 20 rupees per user per month. First, they will ask you to song and dance, and they will ask you for 10,000 features. And then, meeting after meeting after meeting, like tariq after tariq after tariq. So procurement will come into play then. And then after 7 months, they will say, annual budget is coming out to 5 lakh, but I don't have budget. Can you cut it to half? So I think that is the first reason why I don't like B2B AI founders to spend a lot of money and time in Indian customers right now. I think, yes, the change will happen, but the change will not happen, where you will be comfortable with, right? You want your company to grow today. What is happening is you should probably go and start talking to international customers, because what is happening there is everybody starting to adopt AI. Everybody is trying AI. So automatically, naturally, people are willing to try AI, and they know, hey, if I don't try AI, my competition will try AI. So they have this tendency that they want to use AI products, and it's fundamental, like very different, right? In India, 20 rupees per user per month, you can spend 6 months negotiating, and there it's like swipe the card and $20 per user per month is like norm, right? So, it's like this, like just imagine, India today in India costs 100 rupees per month, right? Whereas in the US, you pick up any business magazine, it'll cost you like $20. I think that's the difference which is there. So that is the first point. The other point is, if you are going to sell to US customers or European customers, you need to be close to the customer. A lot of times founders come to me and say, hey, I'll first make my product in India, battle tested, it's working fine, I know it's working, then I'll go to the US. But guess what? When you go to the US, things completely change. Your product is meant for Indian customers. The international customers have a completely different task. So you go through this learning curve of, first is, what does the product need again with the US? So again, 12 months went into that, and then you need to learn how to sell to them. So then again, so there's a lot of time gap. I think I've seen the smartest Indian founders are just saying, I have built something interesting, let me go figure out which customer will pay me the most money and I'll go sit next to them. And that is the approach you need to do in today's world of AI. How to sign up early design partners. I think first advice, stop being an engineer. Yeah, जब आप लोग गाड़ी खरीदने जाते हो, does the guy comes and says, sir, it has like 350cc motor engine with oil brakes, this, that. You don't care, right? You have gone there for a functional thing. You want to understand price. You want to understand the other features which are core to you as a customer, right? Similarly, the customer is not trying to understand all the features. You need to understand the pain point of the customer and sell him for this pain point, do I have a solution or not? And if your solution is not the right solution for them, I think you will gain a lot of trust if you tell them, I don't have the answer for you. Maybe these are 2 other products which you can go and sell. I know it is counterintuitive, but I have seen salespeople who do this generate a lot of trust with the customer. And once you have those features, you can go back to the customer and customer will remember you, he understood my pain point. He was not pushing and selling what he wanted to sell. He heard me out or she heard me out. I think that is the first key point of getting design partners. Second, design partners aaram se aayenge nahi. You are a fresh startup. You are probably very young in experience. Product is not ready. You have nothing to show today. So what can you do? You can only cold outreach and email on LinkedIn people who you think are the right customers for you. You will send out 100 emails and you will probably get 10 responses and actually 2 conversations will happen. And that is a story for every startup. So you are not necessarily alone. So that hard work you have to do to get your first few design partner customers, right? Number 3, I think it's very important. Who is your design partner customer? There is a tendency among early customers, they know that they are very early and they can take advantage of you. So you have to find the right balance. Is this somebody who has a genuine problem and he's just not whiling away time? Who knows? Like they just are free and they're spending time with you. So how will you qualify them? Second, within that customer, is he giving you good feedback? Like, is he able to give you and tell you, hey, this I don't like, this I like, and how do you validate that, right? And third, is he a champion for you? It's not just that you are helping them succeed, they should help you succeed. They should say, okay, let me get you advice from 4 other people. And again, you will talk to 100, 2 will become partners, but out of those 2, only 1 might be actually a good design partner for you. So you will have to invest time in the beginning to be able to find the right design partner who works for you. I think that is super important. This is one of my favorite questions. How do you get customers if you have very, very low resources? How do you excite somebody? I think that is the fundamental part of this question. You don't excite anybody by just telling them a little bit about some delta improvement. You tell them about how the world will change, how their life will change. That is the message that needs to go to the customer. Then he will say, okay, wow, this is something very, very interesting for me. Just imagine when Salesforce, which is one of the largest companies in the world, is created. Did they go to somebody and say, we will sell you a database in which you can put all your customer information and that is why you should use us? No. They probably went and said, hey, we will save you. We will give you back the time where you can go and attend school functions of your kid. We will free up your weekends. So how do you help the customer imagine that? That is the value proposition you need to bring to the table. That is the first point. So you need to start thinking from there and now go to the fact, how will the customer even find you? I think there are a lot of examples of that today and it's very easy. Like if you are able to create content, if you're able to showcase how this is how the industry will change because of my idea, people will, instead of spending 18 hours on one problem, will be able to just do it in 18 minutes. People who have that pain will listen up to that. Your customers will get attracted to you. So that is one point. If you don't say it, nobody will know it. So you have to tell, you have to talk. A lot of founders, they are not very comfortable about marketing. They don't want to write. They want to have everything in place. I think that's the wrong thing. You have to open up. Today's world, you have to write. Second, I think there is no excuse when you have so many AI tools to build UI and just show the idea. You don't have to wait to code anything. You have like things like Rocket, which is an Accel company, or Bolt, or Cursor, which is also an Accel company, where you can just create and prototype in a very short period of time without actually, earlier you would have created a presentation, and now you can just actually build like a product MVP which looks and feels like what the actual product could be and show it to the customer, and in real time change it as well. So there is no excuse if you don't do that work. I think some of the smartest founders I know are starting to build and show us like product skeletons already, even before they've raised any money, and you can do that. So I think that is the second piece. So just by saying it, you show it. I think a picture is 1,000 words, right? So I think that is what is important in the second piece of things, right? And then finally, the third piece, build in public. You can do open source, you can put out your roadmap. If you don't want to build in open source, you can put out your product roadmap. This is what I'm building today, but in the future, I will build this, because a lot of buyers, a lot of customers want to know, if I'm going to spend my money on this, learn this product, tomorrow, 1 year later, will I have to switch to another product? So if you can give them a kind of peace of mind that, hey, this person is a deep thinker, this product is deep, they are thinking of building 10, 20 other things. You might not have all of it on day one, but you're showing them, I'm going to build all of this in the future. I think that's a great strategy for you to be able to get good customers who want to be part of your story. I think this is one of the more serious questions which we got in the AMA, which is how do you enter into enterprise grade, high compliance environments? How do you make sure a customer is willing to put an AI solution where they have to follow regulations from the government, regulations from, let's say, RBI, or regulations from federal government in the US? I think it's a tough question. There are a couple of solutions for that. First is you just start with the non-core idea. You are not touching any core data. You can, just go and build product, which is, for example, let's say analytics. You are not touching their transaction systems, but you're doing analytics on top of it, and you can work with anonymized data. I think those are some solutions where the bar of compliance is a little lower. So that is one. Two, a lot of regulation which is hanging around in AI and data privacy is around which entity is doing business with that person. So for example, if you're an Indian vendor to an Indian government, I think that works. But if you're an international vendor, you need to have a local presence. You need to have be compliant with the local DPDP laws. Similarly, if you're selling in the US, you need to be compliant with their privacy laws. So you need to have a framework where you have sorted all of that. So you have compliant. You can showcase to them that I am compliant with all your laws, and I have legal entities in each of these geographies which are doing local work with you. I think that is the second piece which people have to be, that's the extra cost of doing business. The third piece is essentially just building in private cloud. And that's a technology piece. I think is a slightly easier one to do. If you're going after the US healthcare market, for example, you have to be HIPAA compliant, and AWS, Google, all of these cloud providers have HIPAA compliant clouds. You have to build solutions on, if you're selling to the US government, you have to build on FedRAMP compliant and things like that. So I think, but it is a tough question. There's an extra cost associated in building for regulated industries and compliant industries. But also the pot of gold is bigger, because if it is hard for you to enter, somebody else will also have to do all the hard work to enter. And not many people are able to build it. So these are some strategies which you can use to actually go in and solve for into getting into these customers. Okay, let's talk about pivots. So I think the idea is pivots are there. It takes a lot of effort in a business to pivot, but you have to do it if it's not working out. In real life, if you have pivots, because at that point of time, what is the right thing for the business, what is the right thing for the economy, customers, all of that, right? So you have to pivot. I think that's the true thing. And somebody told me, which is correct, which is technology is changing so fast, AI is changing so fast, our social fabric is changing so fast that you will have to pivot. Even if your business is doing well, you'll have to keep on doing newer and newer things inside it to, be successful. Let's give you some examples. Let's take some of the more successful companies. So was Swiggy Harsha's first idea? No. I believe it was his fourth or fifth idea. Was Angry Birds the first game that was successful for the company. It was, I think, the 40th game which became successful for the company. You take Slack, another Accel company. They started off as a gaming studio, and they were going to shut it down because the game was not working, and they ended up making Slack, which became a huge success, multi-billion-dollar success. So you will have to pivot. I don't think you should stick to your original idea and be egoistic that, hey, I have to be right with the idea I have. I know when you're building your product, when you're building your company, things are moving, customers are asking things. You have taken up a lot of time of your life to build it. That is the key thing. You have taken up a lot of your lifetime to build it. You are going to have, this is serious stuff. You should reevaluate every few months, take a step back and see what needs to change in the business. Maybe the entire business needs to change because the ground realities, the truth which you started has changed. So just think about that. So there's no shame in pivot. We as VCs, all our companies pivot all the time. So it is fine. Please don't say that I will not pivot. Just you have to figure out, you should feel it's not working and then think, relax. By the way, the best ideas I've seen which have pivoted is when they have spoken to customers. So everybody starts off with a particular belief. I have felt this pain. I think it's a great idea. Maybe you heard it somewhere. Maybe you read it somewhere. And you research and you spend a lot of time on it and you now have belief that this is the right idea. But if you did not speak to 20, 30, 100 customers and each of them said, yes, this is a pain for me. If you solve it, I will take it. When can you give it to me? That is the idea you have to chase. And if you have not done that, then please pivot, right? That is a short advice I'll give you. I mean, if I as a VC can code continuously and come out with new products for my personal use, I'm sure people who are focused at creating products can do like 100x better. And anyways, the speed has increased. Like, look at Cursor, look at Windsurf, it's just easy now to build product. I was just discussing this with another founder and we were discussing that product banana aasan ho gaya. Now you'll have to figure out how to get customers and how to sell. So maybe the whole balance shifts towards a better company is a good product is a given. Like you have to build it, but then customer support, making sure you're consulting with the companies, customers. I think that is where the focus will be. But the core is, expectation is you can do what you were supposed to do in 12 months in 1 month. And it will only going to become faster and faster. And if you have not seen it, try out one of our company's product called Rocket.new. They will just help you build the product in 5 minutes, whatever product you want to build. So the world is changing very fast in development and product. But this is one advice, another advice I'll give to founders who are non-technical. I say this as a VC, but you still have to listen to your CTO and VP product and engineering to understand how this actually goes live. Because I'll be blamed saying that, MVP banana aasan hai, actual production mein put karna mushkil hai, which is true to some extent. But even then, if your actual production was going to be 12 months, again, I'm saying maybe it is 6 months, not 1 month. So take it with that thought process. So you have to move fast. Thank you guys for listening to me. This was my first AMA ever. I've never done an AMA before, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have more questions, please feel free to send it to me at prayank@accel.com. I'll be more than happy to do another AMA with all of you.